Now, DSS has given or issued warnings to Nigeria and Nigerians, stating that some people are trying to push for interim government, and they plan to do this by sponsoring protests across the country to disrupt law and order. Now, while I am not in support of any chaos, I want to believe that this statement by the DSS is biased, highly biased, and it is targeted at witch hunting opposition. That's what it is. It is targeted at witch hunting opposition. Why do I say this? Number one, it is curious for me that the DSS is coming out now to make this kind of claim when the DSS has resources within its power to carry out investigation, confirm such investigation, and proceed to do what it should do or what it is allowed to do within the ambits of the law to forestall peace and order, to forestall breakdown of law and order. They can do this, right? This is exactly what is required of them. What they could have done all the while that APC thugs were threatening the peace of the country, where APC chieftains, the likes of Bayo Nonuga, were making inciting statements to cause division and strife amongst major ethnic groups within the country. The DSS could have swooped in, but they didn't. They allowed the APC thugs to get away with it, knowing fully well that the actions of the APC and the APC stalwarts were capable of undermining the security, the unity of Nigeria, but they did not act. And what did we find? On election day, true to their promise, they carried out their activities, and it was chaos all across the length and breadth of Nigeria. In all of this, where was the DSS? Nowhere to be found. Now, even before that, we were here when we saw videos on the internet where Tinubu himself was making statements that were borderline, they were just borderline unpatriotic, borderline capable of disrupting the peace of the country, when he said to his supporters that power is not served a la carte. You have to fight for it, he says. You have to snatch it. You have to run with it. This was the instruction he gave to his people. And we saw what happened at Ibarra in Lagos, where the Bale was threatening Igbos living in his community that he has orders from above that whoever will not vote APC should stay at home and not come out, and that they should not put him in trouble. Orders from above. It is clear where these orders came from, because that order was given in public domain, in the full glare of all Nigerians, by Tinubu. And where was the DSS? Nowhere to be found. What is even more heart-aching for me is that we had the likes of Honorable Adodogowa from Kano make this similar threat caught on TV, caught on camera, that whoever will not vote for APC, unless people vote for APC, they will deal with them. Where was the DSS? Nowhere to be found. Until election day, where these threats were actually carried out and people were burnt alive, people were killed. And then the legislator was forcefully declared winner of the election. Where was the DSS in all of this? Now, just because there are protests, now mind you, I am not in support of those protests, but protests are the fundamental rights of every Nigerian. So whoever feels aggrieved can protest, so far as those protests are within the ambits of the law, so far as those protests are peaceful. Every single Nigerian is entitled to protest. So coming to say some people are protesting, they are planning to undermine the security and the peace of the country, I think that is just a flimsy excuse to witch hunt opposition who may want to go out to protest. Why do I say this? It is simple. As it is, even though the likes of Yusuf Dati have come out to say that have come out to advise Buhari not to swear in President-elect Tinubu, even though we have had the likes of Pastor Sarah come out to say that Tinubu is not our president-elect. That is the president-elect of INEC, is the president-elect of Mahmoud Yakubu, who is the chairman of INEC. He's the president-elect of the APC. Even though she has come out to say this, which she is entitled to say within the confines of the law, bearing in mind the things that we saw on election day. Now, despite all of these statements, however grievous anybody may think they are, nobody can actually stop the inauguration of May 29th. I said in a video earlier that the only thing that can stop the inauguration of May 29th is if Tinubu dies. And even at that, Shettima will be sworn in. APC will still be sworn in. And the other event will be war. As it is now, war can only break out if the DSS, the Nigerian military or the Nigerian army, the Nigerian police, and all the security agencies fail at their jobs. Instead of saying that people are trying to undermine the security of the country by protesting, the security agencies should simply do their jobs, not by going after protesters, because that will be infringing upon the constitutional rights of the people. If the security agencies don't fail in their duties, then I don't see breakdown of law and order, because I don't see, except you want to say that the opposition parties are capable of an army that is of equal strength or that is of strength that surpasses the strength of the Nigerian army or the DSS or the Nigerian police, which is simply not possible. So this is an alarm that was not necessary to be raised. If there were people planning coup like El Rufai and Festus Keyamo and all the APC members had claimed earlier, if there were people planning coup, DSS should go and arrest those people, but certainly not protesters. Nobody can through protests undermine the security of Nigeria, because protest is guaranteed within the law. So my advice for you, DSS, is simple. Do your job, because it will not be within the confines of your powers within the law for you to go after peaceful protesters under any guise. And if you are doing your job, or you are seen to be doing your job, the atrocities of the past would have been prevented. And in any case, it's not too late. All of those people who threaten the peace of the country that are members of the APC, call them to book. That is the first step to ensuring peace in Nigeria. When people see that the DSS is unbiased and they are able to arrest and prosecute members of the ruling party that have infringed upon the Constitution of Nigeria, if they are seen to do this, people will have trust in the DSS, and then there will be peace. The only reason why the people can be so aggrieved as to engage in violent protests is when they perceive that the security agencies are biased. And they appear to be, because we're here in this country when APC went out of their way using APC campaign members to forcefully create false tweets on Twitter, claiming that they are Igbo people, saying that Lagos is no man's land, that Lagos belongs to the Igbos, that the Igbos are coming to take over Lagos. Those tweets were made by people who were members of the APC, pretending and posing as Igbo people so that they can cause strife between the Yorubas and the Igbo. And these are APC members. If the DSS are truly sincere and wants to prove that they are biased and they are only loyal to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if they want to prove to Nigerians that they are not the DSS of the APC or the DSS of Tinubu, then the people who did this falsehood, who propagated this fake news to cause strife so that they can have grounds to pull out and roll out their Oro in Lagos and intimidate voters, leading to massive voter apathy. If the DSS wants to prove their neutrality, they should fish out these people, which we know. Fish them out and Nigerians will really now be able to trust you that you are indeed unbiased. Anything apart from that, this your statement, I think that you shouldn't have said it. Your job, you are state security services. You're not supposed to be seen doing things out in the open. You're supposed to be seen doing things, working behind the scene to make sure that things continue to work for Nigeria. Not raising this kind of alarm to undermine the peace of the country. I think it's unneeded, it's unnecessary. So DSS, please do your job and don't use protesters as an excuse to carry out the will that we see or we think is the will of the ruling APC, because everything now will seem to be when it favors the APC. Do your job, and Nigerians will appreciate you for it.